So I really love thinking about your mom. Of course, I knew her when she was older, but have very few memories. But what are some of your either earliest or strongest memories of your mom?
Well, Mom came from Portland, Oregon. Her dad was a policeman, and her mom was a society lady. They were fairly well to do. Their house was a stone mason house. It was uh, quite a prominent house in Portland, Oregon. So we visited occasionally down there when Mom could get Dad away and go and visit her mom and her
Wow.
family in Portland. But she had a sister, Frances, and then she became a teacher, went to normal school, got her teaching degree and a post in Eastern Oregon, where I was born. And then Dad got a church in Green Mountain, Washington. Then he got another one in Blaine, Washington. And so Mom was moving north. She really took her responsibility and her commitment to ministry seriously, was a big support to Dad, always went along, willingly, and I don't know how long it took them to talk about it, but she would be willing to go where he was called. Even they applied to missions. I remember when he was in Green Mountain, they both applied to missions in Africa. We'd have been two boys traveling and living in Africa in another life. But the mission board turned them down.
Why would they be turned
Doctrinal
down?
differences.
Doctrinal differences.
And that colored Dad's outlook sometimes on churches with heavy doctrinal positions. So he was quite ecumenical as far as evangelical churches were concerned.
Yeah.
He would work with all kinds of real gospel churches. Anyway, they got the vision of going into missions in Canada.
Oh, yes.
And, that would
the
be...
foreign mission field in Canada.
Well, yeah, and in some ways, this was the 50s, so things were pretty primitive in Canada, and the churches, evangelical churches, were very small and struggling, and so they wanted to come up here. And then, of course, the native Indians heard of some needs there, and
Right.
so they decided to come to Canada. They got a church call through the Baptist church, regular Baptists, to Drumheller, Alberta. It wasn't really a primitive mission point compared to later, but there were some challenges. It was a foreign country for Mom, and I remember her struggles with things that she was trying to adjust to in Drumheller. One of them, of course, was the coal dust. Drumheller was a coal mining town, and they mined coal heavily in that area, burned coal. She would hang out clothes on the line, and they'd be just gray within hours.
Wow.
She'd have to take them in, wash them again, depending on the wind and the coal smoke there. And it might have been one of the causes for her cancer eventually. She started her cancer struggle when May was born, and she asked God to let her see her baby daughter married. And God was gracious to her, gave her one remission after another until many years later, and she saw May married. But she struggled. There was no culture up there. It was just survival.
Yeah.
She came with tennis rackets because she loved to play tennis. And I guess she got Dad to play with her some. He was a baseball player.
Right.
But she came along with her tennis rackets. There wasn't a tennis court within 100 miles of Drumheller. And so maybe in Calgary. It wasn't that far. But, she never did get to play. She was very well read and loved books and learning. But she was just surviving with the kids coming along, 3 and 4, Laurel and Dan.
Mm-hmm.
She had a huge job, adjusting to a new country, trying to be a pastor's wife, and please the congregation, a growing congregation. And Dad worked with the pastors in that town, and they called evangelists every summer for the years that he was there to do a crusade in the arena of Drumheller. And they would call in the sawdust. They had a sawdust trail that you could hit at the invitation. It was literal sawdust on the floor of the arena as they had these revival meetings or crusade meetings, with all 5 churches cooperating there, evangelical churches, including the Salvation Army at the time. Mom and Dad made friends with the captain and his wife, the Salvation Army particularly, and their daughter babysat sometimes for our family. And Mom really enjoyed them and other people that had moved into the area were anything but farmers and coal miners, which was most of the population, and somebody that could talk on her level, and
maybe a little more cultured and well read and that kind of thing.
People who had come for special purposes to that area. And so I remember Mom's struggles. I was her favorite for many years until one day I realized that she was just tired of me hanging on to her all the time, and she just had to tell me to take some more responsibility. Don't always count on me being there for you.
Oh, really?
I remember that kind of switch in our relationship.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, as the other kids came on and she had to spend so much time and energy in all of these other areas. She took it as a challenge, I think, and something that she'd been prepared for with all her training and experience in a solid home and so on. But it was a big task. It was overwhelming.